Hello, folks. I'm back. Or we're back. It's not really we're back. Oh, hold on. There's a mug in shot. So many mugs on my desk. There you go. We'll move that one so the mug's not in shot. The vlog is back, everybody. As the title suggests, this is officially the Try Not to Cough Challenge. If you watched the sorry video from earlier in the week, you'll have seen just how nasty the cough got. You can probably still hear in my voice that I did pretty much completely lose my voice. If you heard the little clip that I recorded on Twitter outside the cinema yesterday, I could barely talk at all yesterday. I have been vlogging today, though. The vlogging camera has been back, so the proper vlog itself will return tomorrow. But I thought, you know what? I can speak. It's 5 o'clock. There's been nothing on this channel since, was it Tuesday? The sorry video came out, or Wednesday? I don't remember. I've been ill since Tuesday, but I don't remember, or like properly. And I basically went to bed at like 7:30 on Tuesday, got up to go to the cinema yesterday, and have resumed normal life today. So I don't know when the sorry video was, but yeah, the that 3-minute video, I had to edit out about 4 coughs. This one, I've been streaming for 1 minute and 20 seconds and haven't coughed yet. I expect there'll be one soon, but I'm going to try to minimize them. So I thought what we do, I'm not going to be on for long, mainly because I want to have my tea. It's tea time, and I don't even know what we're having yet. So I'm going to be nipping to Tesco shortly, which of course will be in tomorrow's vlog. All the exciting stuff is coming back, but I thought I should check in, have a little chat with you all, bring you up to speed with how the week has gone, and do a little bit of a Q&A type thing as well. Kev, we're giving you no sympathy. Thanks, Rob. One thing I would say, I know I've already mentioned the cinema twice. We'll have no Avengers spoilers here. Anyone caught spoiling Avengers in the chat, it's just an insta ban. It's just not needed, not called for. I'm not going to be discussing the movie at all. And yeah, just don't be a monster. Don't spoil the greatest, most anticipated movie for the biggest franchise in history, etc., etc., etc. So last couple of days, there's not been a huge amount going on. Obviously, I've been in bed for most of them. Andy's been at his respite and has been in crunch mode for uni. And to be quite honest, if we had have been vlogging, there wouldn't have been much to show you anyway. So that pretty much brings you up to speed. So let's do a Q&A. I'm only going to be on for 15, 20 minutes or so. And we'll call it an AMA and ask me anything. We're not going to do this on any particular topic. As ever, though, if you do want to ask a question, make sure you tag at the Chapman Family so it flashes up in red on my screen, because that way I'm more likely to see them, because the chat moves so quickly that if they're not tagged to me, I just don't see them at all. So let's have a look to see the first few questions that have come in. Kev, what's the proudest moment on YouTube? Proudest moment on YouTube? I don't know. I've had lots of, I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer. Proudest moment on YouTube. It hasn't happened yet. There you go. That's my cop-out answer. I don't know. I love everything I put out on YouTube, even the terrible rants. But I guess proudest moment would be raising all the money for charity that we've raised over the last 15 months or so. We've raised we've raised over £10,000 for the National Autistic Society in the last year and a bit. So that makes me pretty blooming proud. So yeah, we'll say that. Solid Specimen says Man City or Liverpool. Tomo says, can I ask what's so special about Endgame and why is everyone so adamant not to see spoilers? Because it's the last one. It's the end, the end game. That's why. And that's the only question I'll answer about Endgame. Zach says, will Andy ever learn to drive? Maybe. It's up to Andy. Olivia says, who do you want to win the Premier League, Man City or Liverpool? I genuinely couldn't care less. I've just got a long-standing dislike for Liverpool going back to my childhood, and Man City are the team that caused me to stop watching the Premier League 10 years ago. So, yeah, I don't like either of them. Is there a way for them both to lose? Probably not. Although looking at it, I wouldn't want any of the top 8 to win. So none of them, thank you. Oh, here we go. Is it coming? We've made it nearly 5 minutes. Have some Dr. Pepper Zero, Kev. Try and hold the cough back. Ben says, if Posh introduced a sensory room, would I take Andy to a Posh game? I'd be more likely to take him to a game at another club and try it there first. Mainly because when I'm at a Posh match, I'm there to watch the Posh match, not watch Andy. So I think, and it might sound really harsh, but that's me. I go to the football for me. It's my afternoon out doing Kev things. I do a lot of things for Andy. I go to the football for me. So if Anna was there too, then yeah, go for it. But she wouldn't want to go. And if he got into football, that would be different. But just the act of them putting a sensory room in isn't going to make him want to sit in a chair in the cold for 3 hours any more than he wanted to before. So I wouldn't want to have to miss huge chunks of the game while he was in a sensory room. So no is the answer, probably. Robbie Hicks asks, what do I think of grammar schools? They're fine. I chose not to go to grammar school, or I chose in conjunction with my parents. I had the option to take the 11 plus when I was younger, the way my dad explained it to me when I was 10. And because my dad did go to a grammar school, he said, would you rather be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? I.e., if you go to a grammar school, you'll just be one of the other kids. He was quite brutal, quite blunt with me for a 10-year-old. If you go to the comprehensive school, you'll be one of the smartest kids in the class. If you go to the grammar school, you'll just be another kid in the class. Which would you rather be? And I would rather be the big fish in a small pond. I was quite happy going through comprehensive school and being one of the smartest kids in every class. I quite enjoyed that. I don't think I'd have enjoyed being an also-ran. Owen McMillan says, how much does a Posh ticket cost for a Saturday game? I don't know because I have a season ticket. I would suggest probably about £25. Jamie the Spooner says, if you could support one non-league team, who would it be? Nuneaton. What's my favourite pop figure? There's a Wonder Woman one at the top there that you can't see, and I'm not going to get it down because then you'll see my shorts. But it's Wonder Woman in a massive invisible plane, in her invisible jet, which is awesome. Do I socialise with people at the Posh games? No, I don't really socialise with people, full stop. Can you hear my voice is already starting to go? We've been live 7 minutes and my voice is already beginning to crack. That's ridiculous. In support of my poorly voice, can we have some thumbs ups? I've just noticed there's like 250 people watching and we've only got 66 thumbs ups. This doesn't feel right to me at all. Right. Oh, the first cough nearly came then. I'm choking it back down. Jade says, would I recommend EGX, London MCM Comic Con, or somewhere in the city as a first ever convention to go to? Jade, it really depends on what your interests, what your fandoms are, because they're three, although they're similar events, they're targeted at different groups of people. Although I happen to be in all three of the groups. If you're a big gamer, then go to EGX. There's a little bit of gaming at Comic Con, but not much. There is never any gaming stuff at all, like video games at Summer in the City. They have board game stuff there, but not video games. If you're really into pop culture, I wouldn't even say so much comic books anymore. There's very little in the way of comic books at Comic-Con these days, but a lot of movie, pop culture, TV, anime, manga type stuff. If that's your thing, then absolutely Comic-Con is the way forward. Like I say, there'll be a little bit of video game there. There'll be a little bit of YouTube culture stuff there too. If you're really into YouTube and online video, Summer in the City is your place to go and hang out. I would say if you could only ever go to one and you're like me and you like a bit of everything, then Comic-Con probably, because Comic-Con does have small pockets of video games or small pockets of online video stuff as well, and is the biggest of the three events. But I think all three of them are owned by the same company now, so they're probably going to become more and more similar. I know this year they've moved EGX back to London and it's now in the same building in London as Comic-Con the week before Comic-Con. So I have my suspicions there's going to be a lot of similarities between EGX and Comic-Con in October this year. Brock asks, have we been to Disneyland yet? No, we go in about a month's time. Molly wants to know who is my favourite superhero / wrestler. Favourite superhero is Hawkeye. Favourite wrestler, Kevin Owens. Tasha asks, will Andy go to Comic-Con? He will not. Olivia says, do I have any tips for coping with exam stress? I do. I have a whole book of them. It's almost as if Olivia is a plant. I wrote this book, The Lazy Student's Revision Guide. It's available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version, I think, for £2 on Amazon, or the paperback version is £6, I think, £6 or £7. I highly recommend it. It's full of lots of useful tips. I've also done a couple of exam stress tips here on the channel as well. So if you just search Chapman exam stress on YouTube, you'll find some of my more condensed thoughts. But if you actually want proper exam advice from someone who knows what they're talking about, former teacher, read the book, The Lazy Student's Revision Guide. It does say it's by David Chapman. It wasn't written by the dog. There's a story behind it I don't need to get into here, but I did write it. Right, let's scroll down a little bit because I feel like I've fallen behind on the chat. Ray's Stories 18, thank you very much for the super chat. From one crisp lover to another, get Andy a 6-pack of Walkers. Get well soon. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. Nameless says, did you go to see the Avengers film? I did. Get the massive poster. I didn't. But yes, I didn't know there was a massive poster. Holly says, I have autism and I'm starting to collect pop vinyls and I've got 6 so far. 4 of them's comic. What's my favorite pop? The Wonder Woman one that we talked about before. Although I did pick some of the ones for Avengers Endgame are awesome. I'm not going to tell people which pops I've bought for Avengers Endgame yet, because I think just telling you what pops I've bought is a bit of a spoiler. But some of the pops for Endgame are really, really cool. And again, I'm not telling you whether I've bought this one or not, but the Thor one is really, really awesome with his Stormbreaker hammer and the detailing on his eye. I want the whole Avengers Endgame set. They are a very cool set of pups. James says, should I revise for A-levels if I have an unconditional offer? You got to ask yourself, James, why wouldn't you? What is your personal motivation just in life? It says a lot about you as a person, I think, about what, and that's not meant as a diss, but what's your motivation for doing A-levels in the first place, and use that to answer your own question. If the only reason you were doing A-levels was to get into university and you're already in university and it doesn't matter, then who cares? If you know on A-level results day, if you get poor results, you'll be disappointed in yourself. You'll carry that disappointment with you for the rest of your life. So if you have a sense of personal pride and personal achievement in doing as well as you can possibly do, in testing yourself and pushing yourself, being the best you that you can be, then you should absolutely revise, because if you don't give it your best, you'll regret it. If you care. If you don't care, then you probably weren't going to work anyway. That wasn't a very teachery answer, was it? I've been out of the business for too long, clearly. Will I be making gaming videos with Andy? Probably not. He doesn't show any interest in doing it. What's the full name of the team, Posh? Peterborough United. How is Andy with his maths and English and handwriting? Maths and English both good. Handwriting not so much. If any, I'm seeing the word spoiler appear a lot in the chat. If people are doing spoilers, then stop it. You'll get banned. Rob's there swinging the ban hammer, I think. If anyone needs banning for Avengers spoilers. But yeah, we don't need any Avengers discussion. I was on a website. I forget where it was. It might have even been on Reddit. Someone sent me to Reddit. I've never used Reddit before. It's a complicated place. But I think they had a 3-week on the general discussion page, because they had a spoiler discussion and a non-spoiler. It was complicated, but I think they had like a 3-week window of staying spoiler free, and I think I'm going to follow that myself. I will be completely spoiler free for Avengers for the next 3 weeks. In 3 weeks' time, though, it's fair game. Memes are fair game. Discussion on the podcast about it is fair game at that point. Anyone who cares enough to avoid spoilers will surely see the movie in the first 3 weeks that it's out. Instead of going out, stay in, have a takeaway. What we talk, Tango Mango, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going out anywhere. I don't know what you mean. Oh, do you mean for my dinner tonight? Like, don't go to Tesco, get a takeaway. I'm fat enough already. I don't need another takeaway. When are we going to Disney? We're going to Disney in like a month's time. Do I plan on getting another tattoo in the foreseeable future? What would you like it to be? I still want the tattoo that I talked about when I first left teaching. I'd like a tattoo under my existing tattoo that has the date on it when I last worked for somebody else, because someone asked before what my proudest thing on YouTube is. I think just one of my proudest moments of my life is the fact that I work for myself now. It had always been a goal of mine to have my own business, to not answer to anybody, to be responsible for my own destiny. And I would quite like to have the date I last worked for somebody else, just as a reminder of that's how long it's been since I had to answer to anybody. And I think that would be really cool. Also, I'd quite like to be a real nerd and get the. Have you seen the original Avengers 6 have all had matching tattoos done? I saw it on Twitter last night. Which again, if you're trying to avoid spoilers, avoid it. But that's not any kind of spoiler to say the original six from way back when, have all had the same tattoo. And it's like a mashup of the Avengers logo and the number 6. And I think that would be really cool. I'd quite like to have that as well. Plus, I've always quite fancied having a DC Bombshell type tattoo. I really like the DC Bombshells character design, so I'd quite like to have one of those. There's loads of tattoos I'd have if tattoos weren't so expensive. I feel like a fraud saying I'm tight sat in front of all this stuff, but for this stuff I'll spend like nobody's business. But in general day-to-day life I am quite tight and quite thrifty, and I just can't bring myself to spend. I mean, my tattoo that I've got now cost me £70 in the year 2000. I can't imagine how much an actual good tattoo would cost now for like that DC Bombshell design. If I had that full color, fully along an arm, you must be talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I just don't think I could bring myself to do it. I'd be sat there thinking I could buy a new camera with this money. I could buy the next generation PlayStation with this money. I just don't think I could do it. I need a really talented tattoo artist who is willing to work for free, but he's really, really good to just decide to give me a couple of sleeves. I'll be all over that. Kate says, is Andy still eating toast and butter? He is, not as much as he was because he's now back at school. Anna's in. What are you waving at me? Where have you found that?
In his bag.
Oh, mad. Splendid. Andy's DS had gone missing. This is a bit of a spoiler for tomorrow's vlog. But he went to his respite midweek and came back without his DS. So he didn't have his DS at home yesterday. We asked them to check for it at school, and he came back with a message saying it wasn't at school. They didn't know where it was. It must be still at his respite. Anna's just gone through his school bag and his DS is in there. It was probably it's his bag from his respite. So we actually had it all along. It was in his bag from the respite place. We're idiots. But there we go. We have his DS. Let's scroll down a little bit because I've fallen behind again, I think. What is my tattoo of? I can't really show you it at the moment. It's been in lots of vlogs before. It's just a terrible tribal tattoo because they were all the rage in like the year 2000. I've got a Randy Orton figure somewhere nearby. Everyone had them in like 1999 to 2002, that kind of period. Everybody got this kind of tattoo. It was the next thing that came after Chinese symbols. I think Chinese symbols were mid to late 90s. Then this came next. Me and my brother have got almost identical tattoos, and we both have the same story about how we got them. We literally walked into the tattoo place, and this was the one near the door that looked cool. There's no story behind it. There's no meaning of it. I really don't like it. And any tattoos I have from now on, it's the only one I've ever had. I would like to have some tattoos with stories and meaning behind them. But like I say, they're so expensive. When am I watching Endgame? Already seen it, Nathan. Already seen it. What on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your opinion on Sunderland? Crisp made. I don't know what that means. I don't understand. What made me check for an autism diagnosis? What, for myself, Jack? Being around Andy for however many years it's been now. I had this discussion. I was chatting to someone about this at, where did I go at the weekend? Where have I just been? What event have I just been to? Insomnia. I had a really long chat with a family at Insomnia, probably for like 30, 40 minutes, just chatting about diagnosis as an adult, because they'd been diagnosed as an adult, and just talking through why I felt like it was something I needed to go through. And the general gist of the answer was, the more I learn about autism and the more I observe Andy's behaviors, the more of myself I see in Andy, which is weird because I'm not his biological dad, but some of his quirks, some of the stuff that he does, some of his behaviors, they're very similar to stuff that affects me, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff that has gone on in my life that could be explained. It could be explained so much better with an autism diagnosis attached to it. That's not me saying I want to be able to use it as a shield or an excuse or a mask or any of these things. I don't just want a label pinning on me, but I do genuinely feel that my brain works differently to other people's. I see the world differently. I act differently. I think differently. I behave differently. And it would be nice to be able to say to people, rather than, because at the moment it's kind of look, I'm weird. I'm Kevin. I'm a bit weird. Is my general, don't mind me. I'm weird. I do things weirdly. And it keeps coming back to that word, weird, weird, weird. And I don't want to tell people I'm weird. If I'm not weird, I'm actually autistic, because I don't want to downplay it as weird. But I've spent my whole life being told I'm weird by everybody, by my parents, by friends, by family. And it would be quite nice for me to say, well, actually, you know what? I'm not weird. I'm autistic. That it has a name. And yeah, I don't think it would necessarily benefit me hugely, other than the fact that it would just be nice to have an explanation for it. Do I get anything for the niche name and number? Dan, it makes me so happy that you got a Sass Davis shirt. We'll have to figure something out. I don't know what. We'll figure something out. Lou, we went to the PO box this week and it was sat in the back of my car for a few days. We have opened it all this afternoon. It will be on tomorrow's vlog. And thank you for the stuff that you sent. Is this Q&A or just a try not to laugh challenge? It's definitely not a try not to laugh challenge. If you have a look at the title again, it's a try not to cough challenge, which, by the way, I'm doing incredibly well at. But yeah, it's a Q&A while I'm trying not to cough. It was my attempt at humor because I've been off sick for a few days with a cough. I know what I mean. I think everyone else got it. I hope everyone else got it. When do I get my autism evaluation results? I haven't even had the evaluation yet. I've been referred to a specialist who's then said, yeah, this was a private referral. They've done this wrong. And I'm back with my GP again next week, I think. Thursday, I'm back at the GP again to find out what the next step is. And I think I have to be re-referred, and it basically starts again from there. So that 2-year wait I was warned about back in December when I first went in, I'm pretty sure that 2-year clock starts ticking again on Thursday. So it's going to be a long time yet. It's just one of those things. Ben says, do you think Andy's pain threshold would handle a tattoo should he see yours and want one? I doubt it. I've seen him trying to have blood taken, and it's not that I don't think it's that it hurts him. It's that he just doesn't want it happening. He doesn't like having plasters on him. He doesn't like wearing hats. He doesn't like wearing a wristband. We're actually a little bit worried when we go to Disney because the way that our deal that we've got works, he needs to have a wristband on pretty much the whole week, and he's going to hate it, and he'll eat it, and he'll destroy it. I think it would just be a sensory overload. He might change as he gets older, though. You come across as pretty normal. I am pretty normal, and I think what you'll find, James, is a lot of autistic people are pretty normal. It's a spectrum, but it's that pretty normal is a combination of masking. Being able to talk to a camera the way I can now is a learned skill. It's not something I've naturally been able to do. And anybody who's met me in person, I know Rob was knocking around in the comments earlier, who definitely has a few times. And anyone who's met me in person will know that it's a very different experience talking to me in person as it is in camera. When I'm talking to a camera, and I've talked about this on stage before when I've been doing a live Q&A, I see my camera as my crutch. Having a camera in my hand, I'm in performance mode. I'm acting. I'm being Kev, the entertainer. When I'm just talking to somebody face to face, it's a much more challenging experience because then the purpose of the communication, I struggle to. It's difficult to explain it. When I'm doing this, I know the purpose of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to entertain and inform. I want you to enjoy the video. I want you to maybe learn something. I'm communicating with a purpose, and I'm good at that. I've learned to be very, very good at that. But if there's no obvious and specific purpose to the communication, I find it really hard. I can't small talk. I can't keep a conversation going. And that's just one example of, I present the side of me that I want to present on YouTube in 15, 20 minutes of a video a day. You don't see the other 23 and a half hours. So yes, I do come across as pretty normal, but that doesn't mean that I don't have my own challenges and my own quirks. And let's face it, I'm 36 years old. Look at what I spend my money on. Is that normal? I'm only going to be on for a couple more minutes because I feel my voice is deserting me. I've already gone longer than I expected to. Try to make him have the trousers with a belt loop. Put the band. Rob, you are a genius. That's a cracking idea. Could only wear the wristband on a lanyard. He would probably still eat it. The trouser thing sounds like a really good idea, though. Why do I think I have autism? I've made a couple of videos about that before. Your best bet is to just search for them on the channel. I'll explain that in more detail. Although I just did quite the rant on it just now. Kerry's different in person, not shy, just doesn't know what to say. There you go. Rob confirming for me. Yeah, I'm absolutely not shy, but I'm also completely comfortable standing there in complete silence. And yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'll happily stand there in silence, but I can't keep a conversation going. I've never been able to do that. I find it really difficult to make friends. I don't really have any friends as such. And I mean, even someone like Sheepdog, who you've seen in videos loads of times, you've seen on podcasts, you've seen here, there, and everywhere. He comes to all the events and stuff. But I don't know how friendships normally work for adults, but we'll go a week at a time without talking to each other. And even then, we're only talking because it's a podcast. And if we didn't have the podcast, we'd go weeks, months without talking to each other. I suggest probably if me and Sheepdog didn't have the podcast, we left uni in 2012, so 7 years ago now, since we had to see each other like 2 or 3 times a week. I would imagine, just like everyone else I went to uni with, and everyone I went to school with, and everyone I used to work with, if I didn't have to speak to him every week for the podcast, we wouldn't be talking to each other anymore, because I don't feel that urge to have a conversation with anybody ever, really, which is a really weird thing for a daily vlogger to say. I hold my hands up and admit I am a bag of contradictions. Right, let's pick up a few more questions. Joe says, when did YouTube become my full-time job? That's a difficult question to answer. James, you didn't cause offense. I don't remember what question you asked, but don't worry, no one's offended me today. But Joe, when did it become my full-time job? It started becoming my full-time thing nearly 2 years ago. So July 2017 was the last time I worked for somebody else. But I wouldn't recommend anybody does it the way I did it. I wasn't earning enough money to pay my bills for at least 6 months after that, if not longer. So it actually became a full-time job. It actually started paying me like a full-time job probably about a year ago. But because of circumstances with Andy and needing to be at home, and because I'd done quite well out of life up until that point, I guess, it wasn't essential that it paid like a full-time job immediately. So yeah, I've been doing it as my daily thing for nearly 2 years. It's actually been paying me like a full-time job for about a year. It doesn't pay me as much as I used to get paid, nowhere near, but it does pay enough now to pay our like minimum bills, leave us a little bit left over for things like going on holiday to Disney, that kind of thing. Right. Let's have a look. We'll do 2 more questions, I think. Damien says, what you say about not talking to people if you don't have to is just me to a T. Yeah, I think it probably applies to a lot of people. Are you, forgive me if you've told me before, Damien, are you autistic? Are you diagnosed autistic, or is that just, I can't work out which side of the argument you're falling on. Are you saying, yeah, that sounds just like me and I'm autistic, or yeah, that sounds just like me and I consider myself neurotypical? But yeah, I know a lot of people are similar. But yeah, I just think the fact that I've made it to age 36, nearly 37 now, and I probably have I could put all of my friends, I could count them all on one hand, and a couple of them would be a bit of a stretch, and they're not someone I would, and there could be someone in the top 5 who I've not spoken to in person for a year quite easily, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. So that just makes me, I think usually if someone struggles to make friends or doesn't really have any friends, they'll feel lonely. They'll be bothered by that. I don't care. And I don't mean that to be offensive to the people who consider themselves my friend. It's just, I don't know. It's a part of my brain that isn't there, I guess, or that works differently, has different priorities. Right, Damien's replied, as far as I'm aware, I'm not, but I do see a lot of traits since watching your vlogs. That's exactly the road I've been going down. I'm, up until 2 years ago, I never would have dreamt of even considering I might be. The further I look into it, I think if we're going to stick a label on it, I imagine Asperger's is that a label people still use, or high functioning autism. I'm fairly confident that would be a diagnosis I will get when the time comes. Right, let's have a last question. Although there's no more red questions that are added us, so it looks like there's some nonsense going on in the chat at the moment. There's lots of stuff being deleted, which good work, Rob, on the modding. Thank you. But it does mean that I can't see any other questions. Oh, here we go. We've got one last question from Ben. What do I think of supply teachers? I think they're invaluable. They're very important. They're very useful. Because otherwise, what would you do when teachers are sick? I understand from a student's point of view, there can be a frustration, but I guess you just have to think, what's the alternative? From the school's point of view, they can't cancel the lesson just because the teacher's off sick. So there has to be a lesson sometimes, and the school no one's thinking supply teachers are a brilliant solution. They're just the only solution there is, really. Everyone acknowledges when a teacher's off sick, chances are that lesson's going to be a bit rubbish that day. But the alternative is no lesson at all. So it's just one of those things. Who's most excited for Disneyland? Me, definitely. And does Anna have friends? Anna has a few friends. Yeah, Anna's still got friends from childhood, and just that blows my mind. I don't think I could get in contact with anybody I knew. The only people I know now that I knew when I was a teenager are my ex-wife, and I only still know her because I have to speak to her a couple of times a week when we're swapping the kids between us, and my dad and my brother, and Lucy, I guess, because I was 19 when she was born. But there is 0 people still in my life now in any capacity that were in my life when I was 19. I can't think of anyone I still know now that I knew when I was 25. Whereas Anna's still got friends from childhood. She's still got friends from Nottingham. She's got friends from uni. She's got friends from the co-op. She's got all these people that she'll chat to, and yeah, she has lots of friends. I don't. But like I say, I'm not bothered. But we are going to end things there because my voice is departing me. I told Anna I'd only be out here at 15-20 minutes. I'm going to get told off when I go back in the house for talking too long because I'm going to need to ice my throat for the rest of the evening. Like I said, the vlog will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock as normal, and hopefully we won't have any further interruptions from here on forward. I am over the worst of it. My voice is back. I feel well again now. So hopefully we'll be back to normal from here on. Thank you for those of you who have joined in the chat today, all those of you who've been watching on the replay of this as well. I'm going to leave this video up on the channel as today's vlog. I think I've just made it 35 minutes without coughing as well, which is a new personal best for this week. So I'm pretty proud of that. When I really focus on it, I don't have to cough, obviously. But as ever, we'll close things out by saying if you have enjoyed this video/stream, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there before you leave. Subscribe to the channel for more daily vlogs. And thank you very much for watching.